All right, good morning, Alta agents. This is Kevin Lauren. I'm the Director of Training and Marketing, and we are set to have a great webinar this morning. This is a big topic. It's kind of a scary topic because, when you're talking about why agents fail, that kind of can give you a little lump in your stomach, right? So it's definitely a topic that could be scary for some agents. But if we don't talk about it, if we don't identify why agents fail, then we might fail. So let's definitely get involved here. So let me bring on Bill Seitz, our CEO of Clearview Mortgage. There we go. Bill, can you hear us?
Yes. Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, we have a lot of new agents on the line this morning as well. I'd like to welcome, of course, we have our regulars, but we have a few new agents on the line, which is great. And we also have Allie Jackson from Escrow Options Group. And Allie will be joining us next week for another great webinar. So yeah, great morning, Bill.
Absolutely. Well, we always appreciate everyone tuning in. It's our weekly powwow to inform, educate, train, and talk all things real estate.
Absolutely. So today, first of all, before we get into our we're gonna have a cool presentation from Tom Ferry, and so we're gonna see what he thinks are the main pitfalls for real estate agents. But before that, Bill, tell us about. We had a really quick submission to close with Clearview recently. I think it was 10 days. Is that correct?
Yeah, we purchased was submitted and clear to close, and I think it was 8 days. So it makes a difference on which scenarios you have and which banks you use. Obviously, we've been pretty well partnered up with United Wholesale. They are pretty much the fastest industry leader in getting things done, and having confidence in that really gives you an edge in the negotiation process. I know it's still pretty tight out there on inventory, and there's still a lot of buyers trying to take advantage of this low interest rate environment. So it's something to consider if you have a borrower that's pretty cookie cutter clean. I would suggest you giving us a call or running through the scenario, because we can close these things pretty darn quick. Yeah. And considering there's a lot of the industry is swelled up with refinances and people doing that, to be able to get the purchases through in under 30 days, under 25, even sometimes 20 days, makes a big difference.
Yeah, that's for darn sure. I mean, sometimes that can mean, the deal going sideways or not. So,
100%. And it just gives you an advantage when, other, banks and investors are working, on the, 45-day timeline. A lot of the sellers and listing agents don't want to hear that. They don't want to see a contract with a 45-day escrow. I mean, unless it's maybe a jumbo loan, I would say you want to stay clear of writing contracts with those kind of numbers, unless, both parties are kind of in sync with each other.
Yeah, darn sure, huh?
But as I look at the market, I always Wednesday mornings, and sometimes more than Wednesday morning, I look at I just like to pull up Market Watch and take a peek at what's happening in the financial world.
Yeah,
and it's unbelievable. The Dow's up over 31,000 now, which is just kind of mind-boggling considering all the chaos that we've seen over the past 12 months or so.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to see that the investors are seeing something they like, and the money is flowing in.
Yeah, definitely money is flowing in. Stimulus money, people are, sitting on quite a bit of equity in their homes. And so, yeah, I think that the market's looking at that, the Wall Street's taking a look at all that kind of stuff, and they're all systems go, it looks like.
No, for sure. And there's another little tidbit here that I thought was interesting. I'll just read this off to everybody real quick. It says the Federal Reserve says it intends to hold its benchmark lending rate near zero through the end of 2023. But some advisors warn investors not to assume low rates will remain in place over that period. Quote, in actual practice, the Fed can fall behind the curve, play catch up, and be forced to raise rates faster than anticipated, especially if there's overheating in the economy. So I think, hearing little pieces and little tells that I think it's not going to be, even though he's saying they're going to most likely hold the rates, near zero through the next 2 years, doesn't mean that rates won't come up for, home purchases and other stuff if the economy gets too, revved up. So
yeah,
something to keep an eye on, something to utilize with your clients, and letting them know now's the time. Get it done. If they think they're waiting for rates to go lower, they're silly.
That's for sure. That's not a good idea right now. It's rock bottom.
Every once in a while, I'll come across somebody that says, "Oh, I think the rates are going to go lower." I'm like, it's hard to convince people when they think that something like that's going to happen. But anyways, it's now's the time to get everything cleaned up.
Yeah, for sure. And I talk about okay, if it's going to drop, it's already so rock bottom. What would it drop to? Like how much money would that actually save you? I just don't think that's a good plan.
Well, the banks, they're the way they have the interest rate set now, they're really working on the bottom margins. So there really isn't anywhere to go.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
you're not going to get a negative interest rate on your loan. You know what I mean?
Nope, not in this country.
Anywho, I always keep my eyes on that stuff, and I'll, obviously keep them as we move into further into this year. We'll see how things kind of change. And the rates actually have, there was about a 4 or 5 day increase in mortgage rates just over the last week or so. Mm-hmm. Yesterday was the first pullback. So, and I don't really take too much stock in that over a short period of time, but as we, things start kind of slowly, 1/4 point, 3/8 on average, then you start going, well, there's a trend there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So.
All right, perfect. Well, let me bring Travis Breton, our corporate broker, on as well. Let's see. Oops, I think I pressed the wrong button. Hold on. Good morning, Travis.
Good morning. How's it going?
Very well, thank you. All right, cool. So we are going to get into our presentation here now. And Anthony asks, what do you mean by reasons why agents fail? Well, if you're not hitting your goals or you're not making the amount of money that you need to be making, then you're probably failing. So it's one of those things where we want to identify these reasons so we're not, falling into these pitfalls. So let me pull up our friend Tom Ferry. Okay, perfect. Here's our guy. He's a handful, as you all know, but let's take a look at what he has to say.
Welcome to the Tom Ferry Show, episode 134. Today, I want to unwrap the 10 reasons why new agents fail and people that are joining teams are failing every single day. Now, having been in this space for 29 years, I can tell you this list could have been 100. But when I thought through decades of working with new agents, watching senior agents bring people into the business, watching owners and managers recruit in mass brand new real estate professionals, there were 10 reasons why I see people missing the opportunity and not earning the money that they want and ultimately ended up failing from this business. Let's take a look at what you should do about each of the 10. Number 1 is interested versus committed. Now, think about this. I'm going into the real estate profession. As we all know, real estate is generally speaking not a profession you jump into straight out of college or high school. There's not many people on the planet that wake up and say, guess what I want to do when I grow up? I want to be a real estate agent. No, the vast majority of the people that get into the space come in a second, third, or fourth career. And in many cases, they failed and failed and failed. And this is the last ditch effort, an opportunity to strike it rich and make money. And yet, most of them are just interested. They're interested in success. They're interested in doing what it takes. They're interested in being the kind of real estate professional that can win the type of business that we all want. But we both know there's a big difference between being interested and committed. This is a mindset thing, my friends. Commitment is I'm willing to do whatever it takes, no matter what, for as long as it takes to be successful. Interested is I do it when it's convenient. I'll make my calls when it's convenient. I'll learn the script when it's convenient. I'll create my plan when it's convenient. I'll be resourceful when it's convenient. You know the difference. Let's look at number 2. They're not strategic. I meet with agents all day, every day. And inevitably, when we're talking about planning or their market or growing their business, I'll say, talk to me about the way you look at your marketplace. How strategic are you? For example, do you look every single day at the hot sheets? You know, every new listing, every pending, every sale, every price reduction or amendment. And are you paying attention to the real strategic pricing trends of your marketplace? Can you talk strategically to buyers and sellers about the data and the math of your market? Do you know that condos are not selling and residential is selling, or 2 stories aren't, but those old bungalows that were built a long time ago are being bought and traded and fixed and flipped every single day, as an example. A big reason why people fail is they go into real estate and they say, I like houses and I like people, and they basically get excited about whatever's on Caravan versus stepping back 30 or 40,000 feet above and looking at the marketplace and asking yourself, where do I fit in? Where can I have the greatest value? What market is hot right now? What market is percolating on its way up? And what has clearly jumped the shark? Most people aren't thinking strategically, so they literally show up like this. Bang, 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 bang. Whatever happens, happens. That's a big reason why they fail. Let's look at number 3, fear of mistakes and the desire to look good. I get it. I mean, we see the photos, we see the look and style of many real estate professionals. They want to look good, but here's the reality. To be successful in life and in business, especially in business, you have got to go make a ton of mistakes. Every good agent will sit you down and say, look, let me tell you about all the areas that I screwed up, the time that I forgot to follow up, the time that I forgot to put a CTA on a direct mail piece, the time that I did an ad and there was no phone number. I mean, it's just mistake after mistake after mistake, and then learning the lesson. That's how the best people get great at this business. You have to say to yourself, if you're new or joining a team, that my number one focus is to make as many mistakes as I can and learn as many lessons as I can. Because from that, you have wisdom. You become wise. You actually know what works and what doesn't. And you've got that sort of gap, if you will, between not knowing and knowing, and you've bridged it, and that's when you become successful. So I would encourage you to make as many mistakes as you can. Look at number 4, no or wrong role model. I think of the old great line, we are like the 5 people we spend the most time with. Our income is in direct connection to the 5 people we spend the most time with. Well, what if you're watching this and you're a brand new agent and you're in a class with a bunch of brand new agents and you're looking around at what they're all doing? Well, guess what happens? We begin to model the behaviors and the mindset of the people we spend the most time with. So as a brand new agent or someone joining a team, you need to consciously decide, who is my model in the real estate industry and what's most important to me? As an example, maybe you want to model someone that is highly skilled and highly technical, and they've been selling real estate for 10 years, not too far from where you are as a brand new agent, or 5 years, and they're ridiculously successful, but not just successful in their business, in their relationships, with their money, the way they manage themselves, right? Everything they do is the whole package. The mistake that most people make is they have no model. So they just get stuck in the minutia of the agents around them that also aren't selling any houses, and like attracts like, my friends. You get the point. Who is your role model in this business? Who are you aspiring to be like? Who are you looking up to and saying, she's the one, he's the one, and then dissecting how they think, how they walk, how they talk, how they plan, how they market, everything that they do, and then you R&D, which is something you're gonna see a lot on the Tom Ferry Show. We talk about it, R&D, right? Like if you work for a Fortune 500 company that a research and development group, well, in real estate, we call it rip off and duplicate. If someone else is doing something successful, we want to cut their face off, change the phone number, put our face on, hit print, and go, metaphorically.
I love this.
Let's look at the next one. Number 5.
That's what we like
I talk about it all the time. Their gas station is only open 1 day a week for an hour. You're in a sales and marketing business. The number one reason why people fail is they don't bring in enough clients, right? They don't attract enough clients. So as a brand new real estate professional or brand new to a team, what I'm going to stress to you is, if you want to guarantee failure, Do what the masses do. Don't market, don't do lead generation. Talk about things like prospecting is a bad thing and it's not something you're interested in. You don't like rejection and all that other BS. And I promise you, you will have a slow, painful death in this business. On the flip side, if you say to yourself, I'm in the sales and marketing business and my number one job is to go attract customers every single day, and you take on the same philosophy we believe, which is there's no wrong way to do it. Know yourself, know your skills, know your DNA, and then know your market and what are the opportunities, and be strategic. So for an example, we talk about the core four. If I could wave a magic wand, every agent around the world would focus on the core four and then build their business from there. Their database, that's number one, right? The people you know that already like you and trust you, hopefully, and you can bring them value and ultimately either win their business or their referrals, right? Obvious. Number two, open houses, right? Open houses are an opportunity for you to be in the marketplace, talk to buyers every single day, talk to potential sellers and neighbors, and if you know what to say, you can win a ton of business. Number three, geographic farming, right? Picking a community where the turnover is 5 or 6 or 7% and planting your flag and saying, for the next 18 months, I'm going to become the agent, the knowledge broker in this subdivision of 200, 500, building of 250, whatever it may be, and become the knowledge broker, become the most requested talk to agent in that area. Lots on the Tom Ferry Show about every one of these, so go deeper there. And then the last one, of course, is online. And if you've been watching our shows, whether it's doing live video, advertising on Zillow, Trulia, Realtor, Zerple, Derple, Bing Bang, and everything else, right? Making sure that your presence online is attracting opportunities, buyers and sellers, and following up and winning. Those are the core four. And what I'll tell you is, the big mistake is, people think that they can do a little bit of marketing one time a week for an hour and run a successful gas station. Be really clear. Agents fail every day in this business, not because they have too many listing appointments, not because they have too many buyers they're working with. It's the opposite. And the only way you solve that, my friends, is through marketing and lead generation. If you don't get that, you're not going to get the business. Look at number 6, Monday through Friday, 9 to 6 mentality. As I mentioned earlier, this is a second and third and fourth career industry. So people are coming out of Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, 40-hour work week, and exhausted on Friday at 5 because they put in so much time. Well, what do we know about the real estate industry? All the money is made before 9 and after 5 and Saturday and Sunday. This is an industry where you have to say to yourself, I don't have a job. This is my business. That mentality, I don't have a job. This is my business, and I'm going to get from it what I put into it. And in the beginning, be really clear, my friends, you gotta dig holes like nobody's business. You gotta roll up your sleeves, put in all that time, that sweat equity, learning the market, understanding the strategy, making all the mistakes, doing all the marketing, doing all the lead generation. And in many cases, it's probably more metaphorically like my mentor, Bill Mitchell, once said to me, growing up on a farm in Michigan. He said, Tom, if we wanted water, we had to go outside and pump and pump and pump and pump. And only after a minute or two of pumping did water ever show up. Well, that same metaphorical example for you, pumping is the time you put in, doing the right things every single day, and removing the thought of Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, removing the mentality of job and putting it into, this is my business. This is my business. This is my livelihood. And the more I put in, the better. All the money's made before 9 and after 5, and all the money's made on the weekends. Get that, and you're gonna succeed. Number 7 is no sales swagger. We know the National Association of Realtors came out decades ago and said the vast majority of people getting into the real estate business came in with no sales and negotiation experience and no marketing experience. And the first time I read that quote from Stefan Swanepoel on one of his trends reports, I said to myself, the vast majority of people come into this business with no sales, no negotiation, and no marketing experience in a business that those are the essential skills. And I remember writing down that quote and saying, the real challenge is most maintained it. And that's why they failed. They failed because they don't know what to say. They failed because their fear of rejection stops them from engaging with a prospect, from talking to a potential buyer, from emailing or texting or making the phone call. That fear of rejection, my friends, only comes from not knowing what to say. Again, go back over here, fear of mistakes and the desire to look good. I've actually said to new agents before, if you really want to become successful in this business, if that's really your desire, what you should do is put yourself in a situation, in the potentially hardest possible selling situation ever. Do it over and over and over and over. Learn the objections, handle the objections, close, get rejected, get hung up on. And by doing that, you know what you create? You create experience. And then when you call a friend, it's easy. I actually tell people, call for sale by owners, call expired listings as a brand new agent. Learn, cut your teeth on these people, the expireds that listed with another agent and it didn't work out. And they're not taking personal responsibility. They're gonna blame the agent, the marketing, the lack of, the bad communication, etc. And the for sale by owner, the DIY person who actually thinks they can do it on their own, even though the stats show less than 8% of for sale by owners in the US ever sell on their own. And yet there's a market of them. And if you're a brand new agent and your desire is to become insanely great, work with those people for the first year. Two things will happen. First, you'll sell a ton of real estate, because that's the automatic. But the flip side of that is, guess what? You will know what it's like to work with, quote unquote, the most challenging customers, gain tremendous experience when you meet that next person at an open house, or you're knocking on a door inside your geographic farm, or you get a referral from a friend, right? Everything becomes easier because you know what to say. Sales swagger, my friends, is a game changer. Let's look at the next one, number 8. This will sound funny, but no goal, broken into the numbers that get measured. This is a business. And the reason why most people mistake, again, they fail because they're interested, not committed. A committed person is going to state a goal. I'm going to sell 18 homes. And what we know is every 40 to 60 conversations for a newer agent, every 40 to 60 people I talk to, I'm going to generate enough leads and enough interested opportunities to make one transaction, to close one sale. So we reverse engineer 18 times 60 as an example. And then I say to myself, therefore, I need to talk to this many people every single day, new people every single day. And I start to do the work and then I measure it, because as many people have discovered, what if you find out that number is actually only 40 people you have to talk to? Or better yet, what if you discover it's 163 people you need to talk to and you've only been doing 40 expecting to get the one and you find out it's 163? That's not a bad thing. That means you know your numbers, right? That means you're no longer doing this. Come on, 7. But what if I told you instead you could plant the dice the way you wanted to win time and time again? That's how predictable this business can be. Whether it's buying internet leads, running an ad on Facebook, doing a direct mail piece, making phone calls, this business is math, but it's only math for those of us that have the goal, reverse engineer the numbers, and track and measure so they can make good decisions. Big, really important point, and I think you can imagine there's a big reason why most agents fail here, because every day they're just hoping and praying for 7, and we both know the person rolling the dice doesn't win. The house always wins. Look at number 9, poor schedule, or worse, weak routines. You're going into this business. It's your business. This is not a job. This is not a Monday through Friday 9 to 6 thing. This is your business. I've said to 100,000 people, show me your schedule, show me your routines, and I can predict your future. I've done many episodes on the Tom Ferry Show around the ideal schedule, the ideal routines. I just want you to think about it metaphorically like this. If you tell me this is your goal, right? I want to do 18 transactions, but your behaviors and your schedule are modeling someone that sells 3 houses a year, where do you believe you're going to end up? We know whatever your routines and schedule, wherever they're lined up, that's where you finish. So it's important that you break down, hey, I've got to talk to 8 people every day. Better do that in the morning. Hey, I got to study the market. Better get that in my schedule. Hey, I need to look at the numbers every single day. Get that into my schedule. Hey, I need to make my phone calls, schedule appointments, schedule meeting with my broker, schedule, and then follow the schedule. That makes sense? Again, so many people fail in this industry because they think, oh, I'm going into real estate, and what's so great is now I don't have the man telling me what to do, or my old boss, she was so tough, always micromanaging me, and now I'm free to do whatever I want. Generally speaking, when people have too much freedom, guess what they do? Nothing. Nothing. People that have excessive amounts of freedom usually end up flat broke, dependent upon the government and certainly out of the real estate business. Discipline is required to build a business and be successful. If you struggle with the big D word, you're gonna need more help than the Tom Ferry Show, my friends. And the reality is you're probably going to fail in this industry, or you're going to be in it for 20 years and sell a house now and then. And I would call that still a failure. Now, the last one, number 10, a lack of financial management. Surprise, surprise, you're building a business, right? What if your broker said to you, hey, welcome to real estate. Here's the reality. You need $100,000 in the bank. You need 6 months of your total cost of living set aside in an account. So if you don't close the deal for the first 6 months, you're okay, but you actually need more than that because you also need money to build your business. You need a website, you need leads, you need marketing, you need this, you need that. And they actually gave you the list, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute. I thought I can get into real estate, make these big giant paychecks, and had not a lot of expense, could just go see some houses and follow up on some buyers and do some deals. The reality is, my friends, those days are gone. It is so uber competitive out there. And the mistake that most people make is they have poor financial management. And guess what? Because of that, they run out of money. Or they make investments in their business and they weren't prepared for it. They weren't paying attention to the natural cycles of when people are listing and when they're buying and when they're closing and how long it takes to close a transaction. I'll tell you a cute story. One of our clients, Jill Biggs from Hoboken, New Jersey, said to me, I had a brand new agent who basically sold their first house and said, now when do I get paid? And what she meant was she opened an escrow and was looking for a paycheck. Brand new agent, God bless her, that's super cute. But she didn't understand that now we got a 60-day time period for us to get through the inspections and do everything you have to do to close the deal. Bad money management, and Jill knows she had to do a little coaching and training with that agent. So here's my question for you. Are you watching this video through the filter of, okay, Tom, I don't want to fail, so I'm going to do the opposite? If you are, my advice is go back through the Tom Ferry Show, search every one of these points, because we've gone in depth on the tactical, practical, how-to, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel, so you can model success and become successful. Are you listening through that filter? Or could this possibly be the moment where you say, you know what, if this is what it takes, I may have chosen the wrong career. And if that's the case, I would say to you, congratulations. Now go do something that you're passionate about. Go find something that you can work Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, because real estate is not that game. All right, I can't wait to see the comments. I know this is a long show. Can't wait to read the comments. Can't wait to see what you have to say. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, always your strategy matters, and now more than ever, your ability to do the opposite of why people fail, that's how you win. Talk to you soon. Hey, thanks so much for watching.
Okay, so a lot of takeaways from that one, right, Bill?
There's an enormous amount of stuff to unpack into that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Travis will have some input as well.
Oh, yeah.
I was just taking notes because I had, listened to this and then forwarded it on to you because I thought it would be a good, thing for us to review. And I think just from a macro level, it's not to discourage any of you or to make you feel like, oh, maybe you're in the wrong industry. It's just more of to realign and get your head into the right space of what it takes to be successful. There's nothing wrong with being a part-time agent. I don't think that was Tom's intention to say, oh, if you do, that's your, I want to do one deal a quarter and you have other things going on. That's not the takeaway with that. But no. If you really are, want to be committed to building a profession and a career out of this, you do have to 100%, tick off all these boxes. I mean, yeah. You're growing your own business, and he says it. I mean, he does a very good job of articulating what needs to be done.
Yeah, and one of the things that really stood out for me, and I think I harp on it a lot, is just the poor schedule and weak routines. I think that is probably one of the biggest ones that trip agents up. They just don't get that routine down and that schedule, and they kind of let things happen, right?
100%. I mean, he says, I had a couple giggles there through that presentation, because he says, you tell me your schedule and I could predict your future. So
totally, I love that.
It's pretty much spot on, right?
Yeah. What
did you think, Travis, of that presentation?
Yeah, I mean, everything is so true that he says. One of my I guess favorite points is basically knowing your market. That's what made me successful when I first got licensed in this business was I knew my market really, really well. Every morning I would check to see what the inventory level was, if it was growing, if it was shrinking. I could rattle those numbers off, to any client that came my way or any customer. And I spent a lot of time building my online presence at the time. I mean, social media wasn't really a thing when I was first getting in this business, but SEO and websites and things like that were kind of really coming around and working for me. So I just learned basic stuff, and there was a lot of new home developments going on, and I would just write about all of them. I blog about all of them, and that's that's where I got a lot of traffic, a lot of internet traffic. But I also knew everything about the area I was in.
Yeah, as Tom Ferry says, you became the knowledge broker.
Yeah, I mean, someone could literally name a street and I would know who the home builder was, and what 4 models were there, So and that was just because I had written about it, and it wasn't long drawn out articles. It was some basic stuff, but I really knew my area well. And when I got a client, and I dealt with a lot of investors, a lot of second home buyers from out of state at the time. That's what I was attracting. And they would mention something, and I would know exactly where to take them. So I would go, come into town that weekend. I'd show them, 8 to 10 homes, and by the end, the last home, I was writing an offer on the trunk of my BMW with them. So
Nice.
I knew exactly what they wanted. So it was easy.
No, that's great insight right there. I really appreciate that, Travis.
Yeah.
There's another thing I really liked about this is when he talks about 40 to 60 phone calls is kind of an average number will translate to 1 sale. And that sounds like a lot, right? So, wow, 40 to 60 phone calls, whether it's through lead generation or follow up, or you're getting, Facebook advertising, you got to reach out to all these people. Yesterday, I'll just put this in perspective. Yesterday, I had a very busy day. I was on the phone most of the day, and I was actually next door at my neighbor's house, and he's like a headhunter, right? So he deals with corporate executives, and he recruits for as a middleman for companies looking for executive type positions. And he's just like, he's kind of like going, man, I'm on the phone all day, and he's kind of frustrated with his job. And I'm going like, man, I've been on the phone all day. I don't count how many phone calls I was on today. Because today was a massive day. So yesterday for me was an incredible day on the phone. I had 52 phone calls yesterday. I counted them up, and it was a full day. It was a tiring day. It went well into from early all the way past 7 o'clock last night. And granted, it's not every day that I strive to have that kind of schedule. Sometimes it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But I think all of us would gladly put that time in if we knew we could get a transaction out of that, because that doesn't have to be 5 days a week. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
If you're doing the lead generation and you're bringing business into you, like Tom says, you can't just expect to have a gas station open 1 hour a day and to sell, that's just not a reasonable expectation. So you're going to have to get dirty. You're going to have to be on the phone. And it's, like he says, the more that you practice, the more that you put the time into it, you're going to get better and better at it, and you'll see more results.
Yeah. And as he mentioned FSBOs, for sale by owners. Yeah, that's a tough market to crack into. It's work, what I think it was probably Thomas Jefferson that said, opportunity is often overlooked because it's dressed in work boots and overalls, and it looks like hard work, So, you got to get dirty. You got to get out there. And when you're working those FSBOs, you get sharp, your spiel comes out, you do work that long enough. And he's right. Those are difficult, sales. But you're going to get the objections. You're going to go through all the stuff. Your spiel's going to get sharp, right?
Yeah, and I think maybe we do that's a whole nother topic. I have
Oh, yeah.
some good ideas about for sale by owners for anybody who is looking to contact those types of leads, because those leads are, I mean, there's a ton of them. You know, whether you go
Oh, yeah.
onto Craigslist or you go onto forsalebyowner.com, I think there's a website that you can access information. But that's kind of another subcategory.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we could come up with a pretty good presentation on that, because I dabble in that a little bit, and I did find a little angle on that worked pretty well. But that's not for today. But yeah, I'm just looking through my notes if there's anything else that I really stuck out for myself. I know I like the mistakes. I think you're going to make mistakes. I think even the best agents will admit that they've, I could go through a lot of anecdotal mistakes that I've made along the way.
Totally.
And like you said, that's a good thing. I mean, it's, you don't want to go out there and have, commit some drastic, illegal activity and make that kind of mistake. But,
Nope.
whether it's negotiating or, working through the transaction and upholding the timelines or understanding the contract, or, if you're writing poor contracts, I mean, you do learn by repetition.
Yeah. And messing up, because it hurts, it stings. And then you're like, oh, I don't want to do that again.
Exactly. So what, Travis, you got anything else that popped out at you?
Yeah, that's the other one I wanted to touch on too, is, if you're new to the business or just getting back in or something, I mean, you're going to make mistakes. I mean, when I'm, mentoring new licensees, I tell them right up front, I say, you are going to be uncomfortable. You're going to be awkward, on your first few transactions, and just embrace it, because that's the way it's going to be. So
I like that.
we're not going to let you fail, but you will feel awkward, and yeah, you're going to make mistakes in this business. I've made tons of them. I mean, I'm going on, I think, 18 years, and yeah, I've got stories, I've got trial and error, I've got all that.
Battle wounds, right? Scars.
Yeah. So
I think we got to dedicate one webinar just to anecdotes, Travis. We'll just throw all the crazy stories out there, because I've got a pocket full.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Every agent on the line does too.
Yep. I'm sure. So
yeah, the only other thing that I kind of put as a number 11, his list was 1 through 10, and I'll just kind of finish my little spiel here with this. Are you an enjoyable agent to work with? I think this is a big component to sales and growing your business organically and getting referrals. Are you a pleasant person to work with? Do you have good energy? Do you speak with your clients? Do you speak with other professionals in the business, whether it's escrow or title or the mortgage person? Are they dreading taking your call, or are they happy to hear from you, that because you have good energy and you are helpful and that you're trying to do the right thing? I think there's a big part of that there.
Yeah, good point.
And especially with your clientele. I mean, if you're grumpy and you're like, and you're just like, yeah, you're kind of that guy or girl, it's like, you're not going to get the referrals. I mean, I'm sorry. People want to work with people they enjoy, people they like, and the people they trust. And I think that you really have to be mindful of that.
Yeah, that's a great number 11. I like that one, Bill.
if I can add in a 12 is don't sell people bad homes.
Don't sell people bad homes. Is that what you said, Travis?
Yeah, there's those homes out there that are just got a bad, really bad floor plan, or just something going on, and in 3 to 4 years, that client's gonna come back to you and ask you to sell their home, hopefully, and when you can't get that value out of it that they're expecting because it's a hard home to sell. I mean, there's those impossible homes out there that just have something about them. I mean, I had one a few years ago that was just on the steepest slope ever, and the driveway was like scary,
Yeah.
and this thing you know, it was a beautiful house on the inside, but it was literally like 4 stories tall because it was going up the side of a hill, you know?
Yeah, don't sell that to like an elderly person, you know?
Well, it was a hard home to sell because people would get there and they're like, oh, I'm not dealing with that driveway, you know?
Right? Yeah.
And so finally we got the price, you know, it sold less than what it should have sold for just because of the layout of the home, you know, the position of it on the lot and everything. It was a hard home. It took me 6 months to sell it, you know?
Don, Don Kearney says, if it's a bad home, sell it to a flipper.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't sell people homes that you can't sell again. So it's going to
Good
come
point.
around.
That's a good point, Travis. I think I
Yeah.
remember you telling me about that property.
Yeah. Oh, I hated that thing.
Good point,
Well,
guys.
everything will sell. It all comes down to price, right?
It all comes down to price, but you know, they should have made more based on the community, but bad layout. So
Yeah, and Allie Jackson says, I had that house too. It was in Connecticut and the drive was covered in ice. Nightmare. You're never going to get that there. All right, guys, I know we went over a little bit today, but really good stuff, important stuff. So I'll put the replay back out there because this is definitely a good one to, you know, watch over and over again, I think. So thanks again, agents, for joining us. This is always a great, you know, once a week, just get our mindset going the right way and really, you know, just think about our business. So appreciate everybody being here. And we look forward to having everybody on the webinar next week. We're going to have Allie Jackson, as I said, and we're looking forward to her presentation. So agents, get out there, make it a great week and a productive week. And we will see you guys on the webinar next week.